but these are absolutely two of my favorite people on the planet. So of course, you all know Amy Robach and her husband here, Andrew Shue, who's a dear, dear friend as well.
If you've been keeping up with our videos, then you've already seen our video about TJ Holmes' ridiculously messy dating history. Many of you asked for more information about his GMA3 co-host and lover, Amy Robach, and you know we had to come through for our RRG besties. Unsurprisingly, Amy's love life has been a hot, stankin' mess, and we know y'all are ready for all the juicy details with your nosy selves. But before we jump into other people's business, be sure to head on over to rrgsnacks.com, our online concession stand that has an assortment of goodies, including our brand new chicken and waffles popcorn. At the age of 19, Amy was working in a department store during her freshman year of college at the University of Georgia when she met fellow student Tim McIntosh. Tim was popular and charismatic, and everyone loved him. To Amy's surprise, he was interested in her. It gave her a boost of confidence to know that a guy like Tim wanted to be with a girl like her. After 4 months of dating, Amy could tell he wasn't that into her, so she asked him if he wanted to see other people. He responded, "Why does it have to be so black and white? Can't we see each other and see other people too?" In her memoir, which we've linked for you in the description box, Amy said she broke things off right away. It took her an entire year to forget about him. They didn't talk to each other again until the summer before her junior year, and he confessed that he missed her. They ended up getting back together, and Amy said, "I felt pride and relief that the guy who just wasn't that into me suddenly was. Once again, he made me feel like I was worth something." After graduating, their careers took them in different directions. Tim stayed behind in Georgia to work as a landscape architect, while Amy got a job to pursue a career in broadcast journalism in South Carolina. Before she moved away, Tim popped the question, and Amy said yes. But almost immediately, she regretted her decision. The distance between them caused a strain in their relationship, and she realized she didn't feel an intense love for him. She tried to break up with him several times, but they ended up getting back together because while she didn't want to stay, it was even more difficult to walk away. In her memoir, she wrote that she met another man while she was in South Carolina, and she engaged in an emotional affair. As her feelings for the other man grew stronger and stronger, she broke up with Tim again. But Tim wasn't going to disappear that easily. He told Amy to give him one more weekend to show her that he was the right guy for her. She agreed, and they proceeded with their relationship and their wedding plans. As they inched closer and closer to their August 1996 wedding date, she started to feel physically ill. She fantasized about running off to Mexico and starting her life all over by herself. The night before their ceremony, she told her mom she couldn't go through with it. Her mom responded, "You're walking down that aisle. You can get it annulled later." So Amy tied the knot with someone that she wasn't even in love with. She knew Tim wasn't her soulmate, but they stayed together and had 2 children. In 2008, she and Tim decided they needed to experience true love with other people. And that was the end of that. It wasn't until 2009 that she and Tim started dating other people. He met his future wife right away, and 3 weeks later, Amy was introduced to the man who would become hubby number 2, actor, father of 3, and former LA Galaxy soccer player Andrew Shue.
We were set up at a boat party.
In 5 minutes, we were nose to nose talking about our kids.
Amy learned that Andrew was in the middle of finalizing his divorce as well. He was also done with Hollywood and co-founded a digital media company called Cafe Mom, an online community for mothers. After exchanging numbers, they met up for coffee and jogging dates in Central Park, but she couldn't decipher whether he wanted to hit it or if he just wanted to be friends. After several weeks, he kicked things up a notch by writing her poetry. It was a sweet gesture, but Amy said she got overwhelmed and started to back off. She even told Andrew he needed to give her some space so she could miss him sometimes. But Andrew was all in, so she decided it was time to dump him. In her memoir, she wrote that she discussed with her therapist how she feared he was coming on too strong. In her words, she said, "I feel like I'm going to throw up. I feel like I can't breathe." During this time, she diagnosed herself as a commitment phobe. She realized she didn't know how to accept or handle love and the intense feelings that came along with it. She would always tell herself, if you really, truly love someone, you can get hurt. Her therapist told her to give him a chance, so she did. Now, you've probably noticed the pattern in her life. Her mom had to convince her to marry Tim, and her therapist had to convince her to give Andrew a shot. In both instances, Amy ignored her own feelings and moved forward with relationships that she was unsure about. Amy and Andrew's divorces were finalized around the same time in the summer of 2009.
Within 5 months, we were engaged, and within 10 months, we were married.
She left the city behind, and she and her 2 daughters moved to a Princeton, New Jersey suburb with Andrew and his 3 sons. The newlywed bliss lasted about 2 months. Amy admitted in her memoir that she felt stuck in the suburbs with their 5 kids. It didn't help that she had an hour-and-a-half commute into the city every morning. She wrote that on more than one occasion she thought about how she made a mistake by getting married. She would say to herself, "Oh my God, what have I done?" In addition, Andrew had to travel for work, and we already know how Amy reacts when there's distance in her relationships. She also said they clashed over their parenting styles, with Andrew treating his sons like brothers and Amy being more of a disciplinarian. She wrote in her memoir, "I've never fought with anybody more than I fought with Andrew." After 2 years of wedded bliss, or hell, she needed a change. She moved into a loft in Manhattan with her daughters, and Andrew stayed behind in New Jersey with his sons so they could stay close to their school. On the weeks that Andrew's sons were with their mom, Andrew would stay with Amy in Manhattan. Their new living arrangements worked well, and after 3 months, Andrew's ex-wife decided to move to San Francisco, and she asked for full custody of the youngest child she shared with Andrew. Ultimately, they decided the youngest son would spend 1 year with his mom and the next year with Andrew, and the 2 eldest would be shipped off to a boarding school. With this new arrangement, Andrew was free to move to Manhattan with Amy and her daughters. In 2013, around her 40th birthday, Andrew's dad passed away. In her memoir, Amy wrote that Andrew became a shadow of his former self. He shut down and withdrew and lost a lot of weight. On most days, the grief was so crippling he couldn't even get out of his pajamas. Her job as a TV correspondent kept her traveling most of the time, so he was left to deal with his emotions. Amy also admitted she wasn't much help because she had never lost anyone close to her and she didn't know how to comfort her husband. And then she was asked to get a mammogram live on air, and the results came back as stage 2 breast cancer. Andrew was by her side as she underwent a double mastectomy, several rounds of chemotherapy, and reconstruction surgery. Andrew would run out and fulfill her prescriptions while her mom helped out with the kids. She always heard about cancer bringing couples closer together, but for her and Andrew, it weakened their bond. They had only been married for less than 4 years, and the diagnosis caused everything to fall apart. She became needy and didn't want him to leave her side. She would become angry and resentful if he had to travel for work or be with his sons. She didn't consider that he was still grieving the loss of his father. She continued to work as much as possible and ignored Andrew's request to slow down and put her health first. They eventually attended therapy, which helped them learn how to communicate their feelings. In 2014, which was 1 year after her cancer diagnosis, TJ joined Amy as a correspondent for Good Morning America. Amy has talked about how much she connected with TJ, and they clicked immediately after they first met. Their families also became close, and she and Andrew would double date with TJ and his wife, Marilee. Amy also told People magazine that her daughters babysat TJ's daughters. Now, if you've watched our TJ video, then you know about all the troubles and alleged infidelity that was going on in his marriage. So let's do the math. Amy and TJ had a tight bond and electrifying chemistry on TV, and both of their marriages were pretty much in shambles. Sounds like a recipe for disaster, don't it? TJ ran through former Good Morning America producer Natasha Singh for 3 years. Insiders claim Natasha and TJ would vent to Amy about their affair and even went to her for advice. TJ's affair ended in 2019, and he was allegedly prepared to work things out with Marilee. He even found some inspiration in Amy's marriage. In October 2021, TJ introduced Amy and Andrew as they appeared on ABC News to promote their new children's book called Better Together. While on camera, TJ went on to describe Amy and Andrew's marriage as a, quote, love story like none other.
It's so weird that I see you all the time, it seems like, anyway. So it's good to have you in the studio here, my man.
I just want to say I'm so proud of you guys. This is an amazing show.
TJ and Amy became running partners and started training for the March 2022 New York City Half Marathon. Andrew also joined them in the race. It's unclear when things between TJ and Amy moved from friendship to rockin' knockin' to boots. And there are conflicting timelines. A source told People magazine that TJ and Amy split from their spouses in August 2022, and they didn't start a romantic relationship until afterward. An insider told the magazine Amy was going through a heartache and TJ was very much there for her and helpful, and that is when they started something. People magazine confirmed Amy and Andrew put their West Village apartment up for sale in September 2022. So that implies that they were indeed preparing to go their separate ways. Meanwhile, although Marilee and TJ were separated, they celebrated his August 2022 birthday together in the Bahamas, and Marilee reportedly believed they were working on repairing their marriage, so she was reportedly blindsided after hearing about TJ and Amy's affair. While they were initially able to avoid disciplinary action from the network, they were taken off the air as executives investigated the situation. Amy and TJ have also deleted their Instagram accounts due to all of the negative comments they received. As for Andrew, he deleted all the photos of Amy from his account. Based on TJ and Amy's past relationships, no one expects them to drive off into the sunset and live happily ever after. But nonetheless, we'll be watching this hot, stankin' mess romance as things continue to unfold.
Andrew Shue, it's good to have you here, man. Come back anytime.
Tomorrow.
Too soon. Too soon.
All right.
If you enjoyed this video, be sure to join us on TikTok for more content, like daily news updates and mini documentaries. And as always, thanks for watching RRG.